What's up, everybody? Brandon Trax Hyatt. I'm here with Brian, and I'm Kyle and Yogi the Bear. Yogi's going to be on with a very first time. We're really excited to have him on. He's up at the Tailgate CBTG up there at 2200 South Wabash Avenue. Man, I'll tell you what, really exciting situation happened. We were all just kind of having a good time and hanging out with Jim Miller and excited to have him in the building. You know, he was signing autographs and everything. Everybody's partaking in the festivities, barbecue, drinks, just a lot of smiles and listening to a good DJ. And next thing you know, here comes a guy in a alumni polo shirt. I'm like, this guy looks familiar. And so, Yogi takes him over there to the DJ. And next thing you know, Yogi's on the mic introducing Donnell Wolford, top 100 Chicago Bear. And I mean, dude, Yogi was electric. I never really talked to him. I've been going to this tailgate for a little while now, and I've seen him, I've heard of him, but we never really talked. So this was the first time, and he had the mic in his hand. I'm like, dude, this guy needs to have the mic in his hand more than he knows. And next thing you know, Donnell just, he took off. He was like, how's everybody doing? I can't hear you. And he just got the crowd going, man. And it was so cool. So I went over, I got a picture, and talked to him. I told him, we got events, this and that. We could do the same thing for you at the tailgate, sign autographs, make some cash before you go to a Bears game, something like that, or get you, get you paid at an event or something, whatever. And I gave my business card. So later on that day, he shoots me he didn't shoot me an email. A lady that runs some celeb events, she shoots me an email saying that Mr. Wolford invited me to an event at Joe's Bar. And man, there's Yogi again. So it was really cool, man. And I thank Yogi personally for, being a part of that and without his connection, I wouldn't have that connection. It's just special. And it's just so crazy how this world works, and, but hey, Yogi, thanks for coming on the show. How you doing tonight, brother?
I can't complain. I think I still have lost my voice from the festivities of the weekend. As things work. And let me just compliment you. Honestly, Brandon, you are as authentic as it gets. You're a real deal guy. And I read people and I can tell you, I just knew that this is going to be something, a good start to something. I moved here from Canada to do grad school. I played some football before that. And so I renounced all my Detroit teams when I moved here in 2000. I was done with the Wayne Fontes era and the Barry Sanders drama, but the Bad Boys and the Fab Five and the Red Wings, that was just awesome because I grew up playing hockey too. And so when I moved to Chicago, it was dirt cheap to get Blackhawk tickets. And at the end of the day, I became a Bears fan and finally got my first set of season tickets the season of 2006. And luckily, we went to the Super Bowl and Devin Hester returned the opening kickoff to our end zone. I was sitting with the bread man, Dave Ganella, and a few of the other locals guys that have big plumbing guys that have season tickets, Irish guys. And so, yeah, it was great to be a part of it. And I've been a fan ever since. And the year that we went to Champaign, we did a couple bus trips for the Monday night games, and that was just a great experience. But yeah, I've been a Bears fan since then. And, I appreciate you having me on the show. I'm certainly no authority whatsoever, but I did what you asked me to do. And I took a look at, a hard deep dive look at what happened on Sunday. And in short, I'll say this: offensively, the first 2.5 quarters.
Hey, Yogi, before you cut into that, I got a quick question to ask you before we change gears and go off into the Bears. How long have you been tailgating, bro? And what made you connect? How did you connect with tailgating? What was it about you that said I got to do this thing? This is my life. Because to your left. Kyle, he's been doing it, I think, longer than I have. Kyle, how long you been tailgating?
No, I mean, I've been on and off for Bears games for God a long time, but for the last 5 years, we've been to every home opener, 5 years straight.
Tailgating?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So see, Kyle's been doing it for a while too, and I've just been kind of taking off with this thing the last 3 years or whatever. So, but once it's in your blood, man, it's hard to get it out, and I don't even know why you would try to get it out. So, walk us through that, Yogi. How did it get started? And you're part of something real big over there, by the way, too, at the Tailgate Club.
Yeah. It started out pretty small, and different factions of different guys come to my tailgate, and we all like to, I grew up in Canada, so I love outdoor stuff, and cold weather doesn't bother us, and we always call the guys up in the suites and everything else. We're like, you're not real fans. We started doing it real small, and there's guys that do a great job all through fire at their own place on 2200 South Wabash, and I got naturally, that's just, they do such a fantastic job. I think there was almost, would you say there was close to 800 people there on Sunday?
At least 800. It was actually a little bit leaner than last year opener, and I only say that because I think with more of the alumni coming out. See, so what happened this year is Hester, they're going to give the ring to Hester during the first Packer game, Kyle. So a lot of the alumni were like, we only go once a year, so let's save it for Hester back, 05, so you had kind of like a split deal. So and that goes for the people that they bring out, whatever and whatever. So I think that was some of it. It just seemed, but it was still some really large numbers, and then too, it was really like the freshness for me. So it might have been bigger. It might have looked bigger than I thought it is. And then also, here's another thing that I'd like to add. You get kind of like numb when things get bigger. Like I was at Soldier Field walking around taking pictures and stuff. I was calm as a cucumber, baby. I was cooler than the other side of the pillow. And it didn't even bother me or not. And it wasn't like people are staring at me like, what's this idiot doing with a little ass camera, and everybody's got a 3-foot long lens. Like, is that one of those little like roll, snap throwaway phones, or what's he doing out there? I even got stopped. I got stopped by security, and he like rubbernecked me, and I'm like, what's up, dude? And he's like, I got to check your credentials. And I'm like, why? And he goes, he just said your little ass camera in other words. And I'm like, it's my hands. My hands are making the camera look small, dude. And he just laughed. But
use it, man. It's all in how you use it.
Well, you use Brian. Leave it up to Brian, right, Kyle? No, but seriously though, I took some really good pics. I'll show them to you guys in a little bit, because it's going to take some time. But I think, getting back to that tailgate, Yogi, I think you just start to get, new or used to the numbers. And it's like you almost have to take a proper head count, because at some point, no matter how big it gets, it's only as big as it is, So after you get used to that bigness or whatever, then what are we talking about again, bro?
I certainly cannot take credit for that tailgate. The fact of the matter is, you got Ricky Boots, you've got Tim, you got Sexy Lips, the big guy, and then
everywhere. EM5, yeah.
Yeah, so it's all those guys, and my connection is the bread guy, Dave Ganella. And so him and Flom, the Chicago cut guy, I mean, it's almost hilarious because Chicago is big, but it's not that big. And they all call me the Indian in their cupboard. Like, we got the Indian in the cupboard here today.
Nice.
So it just happens that my nickname's Yogi, and I just go by Yogi the Bear now. So my first name's Yogish. That's so short for Yogish is Yogi. So this is right to my birth certificate. So it's not like a fake name, but we brought Warren Sapp, and he told me, he goes, Yogi, this might be one of the best tailgates I haven't been to. That's not even on the stadium property, because they have the shuttle buses that take you, and it's like DJ and people are just having a good time, and it's just
Oh,
win,
bro.
lose, or draw. You're always gonna have.
Yeah, no,
So,
you're
yeah,
right.
that's
And it's a little bit of everything. You start out maybe liking one thing, like the food and the beverage, and then then you're starting to like, the music and stuff, and then the camaraderie, and then people are throwing bags and people are grilling, and you don't have to grill there. It's all done for you, and it's some good,
you gotta have
food.
Ricky Boots on your next episode. You gotta have Ricky Boots on the podcast because he sent me a video of what his family does 2 days before. They go to
Wow.
Costco, they get set up, and they just start making. They got an ambulance that,
Yeah.
and it's just you can't thank him enough. Him and Tim and the other guys that are there. I know I'm leaving people out, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, Patty's right. She says it's the feels. It's also great memories. And I will forever remember you walking side by side with the 100 NFL great, and such a great, loving guy and very intelligent and just, the real deal, man. I mean, he gets it, man. He just he gave property, and I think they're putting a building together for the needy and the veterans. So I mean, wow. And then we were at the American Suicide Prevention thing on Monday night for at the Joe's Bar. He's part of that every Monday. It's awesome.
He's doing some great things. Brandon, he's doing some great things. In fact, I think he got 15 to 20 acres he purchased on his own and wants to basically develop that 15 acres to be a facility where U.S. veterans can live. And
That's what it is.
When I found out about that, I'm like, yeah. I go look. It's, what a lot of people don't know about Donnell Wolford is that he held the interception record for the Bears for a long time until Peanut Tillman broke it, and he did it in 18 games less than 40 time is not on the Bears all-time record list. He ran a 4.39 as a cornerback.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So I'm like, dude, you should be in the Hall of Fame. And he goes,
Bro.
Yogi, I don't know. We'll see. He's very humble, very well spoken, very religious, and just a dynamite human being.
Yeah. Hey, Yogi, I don't know if you have your phone Wi-Fi on or something, but you're lagging a little bit. It's not terrible, but it's not the best. So any way you can help restore that connection, even if you reboot and come back, we'll gladly add you back on right away. But sometimes that happens even with mine, bro.
Okay, you want me to just log off and log back in?
But if you have your Wi-Fi on your phone or anything like that, that's kind of tapping in, I don't know
I'm on my desktop, so I can log in through my phone.
Is it? No, your desktop's fine. If you just take the Wi-Fi off of your phone, or maybe even do like a reboot. Are you hardwired to your laptop or desktop, Yogi?
No, I'm on Wi-Fi with the desktop.
Okay, yeah. So
Yep.
anything that's sharing the Wi-Fi, sometimes it makes it lag or slower or something. But yeah, all right. So, anyways, so I saw you were at the another tailgate, Kyle. How was that, man? Did you guys have a good time?
Yeah, it was good, man. It was awesome. We had a bunch of people around us who were. What's up, Yogi? A bunch of people around us who were really nice.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Looks good, man. We had a
Okay.
bunch.
You had a bunch of people around you, Kyle?
Yeah, a bunch of people around us were real nice. We kind of intermingled. We kind of joined some other tailgates per se. We did a couple interviews for just a media, and then we after the game, everything, it was a little more bittersweet because I think a lot of Bears fans were happy the Bears won, but kind of a somber tone because it was such an ugly game. But we stuck around. We hung out there for 2 hours before we left, man. We continued to drink a little bit and have a good time. A win's a win, guys.
Yeah, no, it really is. And, I'd rather have, 2/3 of all phases, defense special teams and offense. I mean, back in 05, Yogi and I was talking in the green room back in 05, when the Bears played and they had that nice Super Bowl run where where we played the Colts. The first game of the season, we lost 9-7, so not saying we're going to have that, type of nice run, but I mean, things start off slow, and I'm looking at the rest of the teams in the league, especially rookies and that quarterbacks. They all had a rough go. That right now they're basically saying, Kyle and Brian, you could probably, testify to this too or tap in, but with that almost 2-week layoff, layover, whatever you call it, break, it's almost like week 4 of the preseason because they got rid of that. So you're essentially going 2 weeks off. And Mr. Wolford actually talked about this too, where they have all these different things during preseason and training camp where you put this silly thing on your head and you get play at 50-60% and all this, and you got all these breaks and only like 10 snaps or whatever. And sometimes you're almost like inviting things to happen that normally don't. Like you prepare your body, you get used to all that, and now you have to take all the bubble tape off. And now you have to play full speed and all this kind of stuff. And I think that was part of it as far as a rookie goes. And 80, I don't know the numbers, but it's really high percentage of the offense that's brand new, including our coordinator. So it would only make sense that our special teams as well as our defense did better than our offense. So that's something that I'm going to hang my hat on. I'm not excited about the offense. I do think it'll get better. It doesn't have a choice to not get better with all the receivers and running backs and everything going on, So we'll get into that, but I agree with you, Kyle. It was an ugly freaking win, but I'll take the dub, bro. I'll take the dub, man.
No, all day, man. All day.
Yeah, man. So Yogi, let's break it down, bro. What do you got for us? What was your take on the Bears game, man? What was it like for you? And let it rip, bro. No breaks.
Okay. All right. Well, it's been a while since I actually went ahead and really studied, because when you texted me this afternoon, it's like, you want to go live tonight? I was like, oh, shoot. Anyways, I said, of course. So I reviewed, I did my homework, and I kind of went back and I looked at some of the preseason tape. And what I found was our best offensive quarter was against the Bills on August 10th. And that first quarter, if you study that first quarter, Caleb was loose. He was relaxed. He was poised. He had some explosive runs. And then he had this one. Basically, it was just a shuffle pass to Swift that got us 15 or something yards. And it seemed like we were using all of our arsenal. And honestly, I was so excited, but I'm too superstitious as a Bears fan to just start to think that we're going to do anything more than we're going to do. And I don't even want to talk about it until it's over.
Kind of remind me of Kyle. Yogi, you kind of remind me of Kyle. Kyle is a lot like that. He keeps it. He's like even keel of the. There's me. There's he's kind of put on the back burner right now because he's coaching his son's high school team, and there's some rule in Wisconsin where you can't do shows, or anything like that while you're coaching. But he is like, so basically when the Bears won, he's probably thinking like 19-0 or 20-0 with the Super Bowl win, undefeated, right? I mean, that's the level of like super fan that this guy is. No bullshit. No, he's full speed, bro. No breaks. So Kyle's demeanor and the way he handles stuff really helps us out because he's pretty even keel when it comes to that. So yeah, Yogi, I'm trying to be more like you, bro, or I just don't get really excited. You know what I'm saying? And that was funny, Yogi. When I was in the freaking press box, you can't show no signs of emotion. And I just wanted to pull my hair out and throw my baby camera at the freaking, I was like, Dude, it was so bad, bro. It was just like, no, because we were so excited about Caleb and our new toys. Yeah.
There's a guy in our section that just literally at critical first down jumps up and is like, move the chains, right? And everybody gets behind it. And then one time we were at a New Orleans Saints game. We were at a Saints Bears game, and we were sitting, all of us, and these guys in front of us were all Saint fans, and they're like, man, you guys celebrate first downs like touchdowns. I'm like, yeah, you're right. That's just the way it is. But getting back to
man.
Back to the Bears and Buffalo, they look fantastic at first quarter. And if you compare the first 2.5 quarters, I really believe that Caleb actually looked like that USC player towards the third quarter, right? But he had some overthrows. And this is what I love about his character. I saw his interview 7 or 8 hours ago, and he walked on the set already knowing what he did wrong. You didn't have to say, and that's character. That's what you need. And there's a saying that if you keep your home improvements backpack tight and on your back at all times, over time, that backpack will get light in time. And so that's what I love about his attitude. He knows what he's got. He didn't come out with a great 55 passing rating. 95 yards in the air. But he recognized that. But here's a concern. In the first 3 quarters, we averaged 1.5 yards per carry. We converted 1 out of 9 first downs. And those are the 2 points I want to talk about. What was our yards per carry? What was our third down conversion? And that's where we need to focus. So
yeah,
that's
really
all I got here.
Well, when you
I just really like what they did with DJ Moore, and everything.
I like what you said, Yogi, because at the end of the day, like a lot of people are wondering, why we didn't run the ball more. Well, obviously, if we're only getting, as a team 1.5 yards a carry, that's kind of like where the coaching staff is like, oh, let's try something else, and it's like at that point, like, what do you do, So I think we could have been a little bit more like open, like you were talking earlier about that game where we tried a lot of variations, a lot of different things and whatnot. And I think that's probably what Kyle and Brian might have wanted and looked for, some off script stuff, but also staying in the script and staying, all that. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, I certainly did not expect the game plan that the Bears came out with. I mean, first and foremost, they didn't really do a good job to make Caleb feel comfortable. I mean, first of all, how many times in the preseason did you see Caleb Williams roll out and make some miraculous play? They really didn't have any intentionally designed plays to roll him out of the pocket.
No.
You're going into the season with a question mark at center and Nate Davis being a question mark. That's why he was rotated in and out all game. And they really didn't give Caleb Williams any layups, any screen passes, dump offs, just stuff to make him feel confident, make him feel comfortable. And then they 2 times they did take a chance downfield. It was both to Keenan Allen and Andre Carter, and he missed both of them. Caleb Williams missed both of them, and that's just not the Caleb Williams we know and the Caleb Williams have been watching in the preseason in college. He's Caleb's. He can say all he wants. He doesn't have nerves, but guys, he was nervous. I mean, you could tell. They actually zoomed in on him at one point in the jumbotron, and he was visibly shaking. He was shaking. He was obviously nervous. He doesn't usually miss those throws, and they kind of gave up on him after that. They were like, "Well, he overthrew 2 guys, so let's just not do that." No, keep letting him make mistakes. Let him air it out there. Let him be him, man. It's the only way he's going to get better. You have to make mistakes to improve, and it just seemed like throughout the whole first half they were playing kind of a Luke Getsy kind of style offense where they were being very careful and didn't want him to lose the game. But eventually he has to make those mistakes, guys. I felt
like that. I felt like we were doing like a Luke Getsy thing. Like I just was like, this looks similar to the crap that I've seen before. What is going on here?
Yeah. And even though they didn't run the ball successfully to start the game, actually the first 2 plays they ran pretty well. After that, they kind of got stuck. But I still think they gave up on the run a little bit too early. And Of course, you guys, I expect Caleb Williams to get better every single game. I think this was just kind of a hiccup. It was his first game. He felt like the pressure of Chicago was laying on his shoulders. I think he'll actually play better on the road than he does at home. But man, that was a rough start. I started to get those feelings like I did in 2001, 2021, 2022, where it was like, man, not this all over again, please.
Yeah.
But you know what? The culture has obviously changed because the Bears lose that game last year, and they didn't lose that game. They found a way to win, and this is a different team with a different attitude, and there's a different vibe in that building, guys. I think the culture is changing, and you know what? I think for the rest of the season, the defense is going to have to win them some games because Caleb's going to struggle from time to time, guys. He came into a perfect position where the defense is capable of doing that.
And the bonehead guy in myself looks at the fourth round or fourth round,
Yeah,
where we hire a punter, and I'm like, we could get a pass rusher. Our pass rush looked great, and we could have got offensive line. Well, okay, so maybe we would have found an offensive lineman. Not sure how good he would have been because we found a lot lately, and they didn't look good, but that punter sure helped us out, Brian. Talk to us about how important, and I don't mean to hand you off with just a punter. You
Give
can
me a
speak
punter.
you can speak outside of puntism or punt.
I'll lead off with that. I'm sure. Sure, it's fine.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, how great is it for a guy? And they kept saying, "Flip the field." I love that saying. That flip the field, 50-yard punt. It's great, bro.
Dude, I loved it. I mean, I think the first one he had, went into the end zone for a touchback. After that, dude was like dialed in. I mean, the look on his face is like just another thing. You know, he kick it, make a good punt, just run off the field. Stone faced. I mean, that dude's a killer.
Yeah.
But Kyle hit my main talking point, honestly, with the confidence. I mean, you got a quarterback, you got to get that guy moving. I mean, it's the same thing as like a basketball three-point shooter. You've got to get him dialed in. Once he hits that confidence, he's going to be on fire all day. And then you end up like Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. I mean, to speak of the devil, I guess. But he's just so arrogant that he knows he's always on. You know, he's just, just out there just dealing. That's what they got to do. They got to get Caleb Williams' confidence up in the pros. I mean, he was very confident in college. That's why he was always dialed in. He looked confident in preseason, even though he was like 50% passing, but he was still, doing what he does and dialing in. The main thing that I took away that was actually good was he seemed to be making the right reads. That he wasn't missing the open guys at all. He was seeing those guys. He was throwing it to them, but he was just inaccurate. I mean, it was, completely different. I mean, he seemed to have control of the line. It's completely different from what we've seen in years past, in my opinion. So I think as soon as he gets settled or gets that confidence up, he's going to be down. I mean, he's just going to be dealing, and eventually.
And to your point, Brian, is 2 sacks is all he had. Like another quarterback would have had like 9 gajillion sacks. Like I looked at it. I'm like, whoever wrote this in is like, off. There's no way he only sustained 2 sacks. But when you make the right plays, make the right calls, you get the ball out of your hand, and you help your team live to fight another down. And even if it means throwing the ball out of bounds or throwing over, like here's the deal. Kyle brought up a really good point earlier. Yeah. Yes, he had 2. Did you say deep receivers, Kyle? I don't want to misquote you.
Yeah, those are both deep balls that he missed.
So you can have 2 deep balls fall short and be intercepted. That's one thing that I like that this kid didn't do. He didn't underthrow the ball and make a pick 6 or anything like that. So we have something to fall back on is the fact that we're not turning the ball over. Right now, we're just saying, get on the bus. You don't have to drive it. You have to do something, but don't get out of the bus and poke holes in all the tires in the gas tank. He didn't do that.
Don't crash it.
Don't crash it. Don't crash it. Yeah. So hey, man, that's what. Now, I will say I was not the one saying this at all. I was saying the complete opposite. I thought he was going to drive 80 mile an hour and just kill it, set records and all this kind of thing. I was expecting something way different, boys. But in the outcome and the grand scheme of things, all the people that were telling me to settle down and just he's a rookie, just let him, like you guys said, nerves, whatever. He says he's never nervous. He's never been in the freaking NFL. He's never had full-size grown men where everybody's great. Okay, you go to USC, you go to Oklahoma, you're great. you go to the NFL, everybody's great, and they're coming at you full speed, 100 mile an hour, and you got a freaking center that's falling down because he's like, oh my god. Now what do? Do you hit up the panic button and because we know he can punt, so do you back up and punt the football? No, he didn't.
I don't think he was used to that.
No, and he never said. Remember, there was a quarterback in town not too long ago that said,
I don't think he was used to the bat downs. He had like 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could figure that out.
Remember, there was a quarterback not too long ago, Rhymes with Fields, where he said right at the end of the preseason where he was doing so well that I'm really like shocked that this. I'm not quoting him right. I never quote anybody right, but this is basically what I got out of it.
Yeah. He said, I'm surprised on how slow it is, and that's
how slow this. Guess what? Now all the guys in the NFL are like, oh, you think us NFL guys are slow? Circling my calendar, circling number 1, and I'm putting -1 on it because I'm coming after you, pal. And he never got a chance to be a rookie after that because everybody was showing him that he needed to be a veteran when you say that shit. And that's one good thing that, like you said, he was humble in the press conference and he said, hey, I got to do better, blah, blah, blah. So it's a win. Go back to it. It's a win. Let's do better. You can be better. Houston, hopefully we don't have a problem. I think we're going to do better. I think last year, boys, and are we done unpacking this, or do you guys want to add anything else about the game?
No, I do. I will say I agree with Yogi. The longer that game went on, the better the Bears got. Actually, their last 3 of their last 4 drives were the most impressive drives of the day, especially the drive where the Bears took the lead on that Tyreek Stevenson touchdown, and then they had to run the clock out before they gave the ball back to Tennessee.
That was good.
It was only like maybe 3 first downs on that drive, but you know what?
Yeah.
Each down took 2 or 3 plays. They ran the clock out. Unfortunately, Tennessee was still left the 2-minute warning, 1 timeout, but it didn't matter because Jalen Johnson made that pick. But the Bears started to look like a professional football offense the longer the game went on. Hopefully that they can take that, they can carry that into next game in Houston. I'll tell you what, guys, even if the Bears look amazing, I'm not going to be depressed or out on them or change my thought of them if they lose to Houston. That's a very, very tough game to go win.
So, Kyle, you're almost, if I can remember correctly, when we were breaking down and we were doing our projections, Yogi, we all picked what games we thought we would win and lose. A lot of us, I think, Kyle, you were one where you didn't feel good about our outcome with Houston, being in Houston, and the outcome that they had last year was really good. So I agree with you. If that happens there, then there's no need to, freak out and back up and punt the football. Like, you're still going to be cool, calm, and collective about it. And hopefully we still continue to grow. But I want to circle back to something you just said, Kyle. I think it's very interesting. It speaks volume and a growth amongst our coaching and game planning. You could be really effing stupid with all that going on at the end of the game, but they methodically made sure that when the ball was in our hands and we could seal the deal, that we in fact sealed the deal. And you spoke volume with that, and that is something that has been overlooked and it needs to be addressed. And I thank you for bringing that up. That's very important, and it shows growth in our building, because there's been a lot of stupid shit that's happened in our building, and we could have gave that game right back, Kyle.
Yeah. Did you guys hear what Callahan said after the game?
What did he say?
So at his post-game press conference, they asked him, they said, so how do you feel about the game, Callahan? What would you have done differently? And something along those lines. And he responded with, well, after we went up 17-0, I just would have punted on 1st and 10 every single time, and they never would have beat us. The Bears offense wasn't that bad. That's what I'm saying. Like, Caleb Williams, I know he threw for 96 yards. You guys remember Keenan Allen dropped a touchdown. The Bears did move the ball up and down the field at certain points in the game. Their special teams put them in very good field position. If the Bears can correct a few things here and there, they're a much better offense than people gave them credit for coming out of week 1. You know what Caleb Williams did not do? He did not Will Levis the game up and throw it to the other team and lose the game for his team. That's what he didn't do that. So
get down on his knees and start like,
I don't agree with that, though. Callahan, that statement, a pissed off player plays different. you know, if you're caught on first down, you're just going to piss them off. And eventually they're just going to come, they're going to come for you. I mean, you can't just poke that bear all day long, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, look at that last drive when you're talking about when they're trying to run the clock off. I mean, the whole run scheme was different. I mean, they just started, they finally figured that part out. I mean, giving them more opportunities. They just figured that out earlier.
Yeah.
Yep.
What say you, Yogi? You agree with that, or?
There's a lot of Kyle. The more you talk, the more I can't wait to hear what else is coming out of your mouth. You've got to really, it's interesting. You break down a lot of different things, and I have to really listen to actually make sure I'm hearing every single word. But yeah, I can't wait to break down some game film with you in the future.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it, Yogi.
Yeah. So it's good to get a little bit from everybody, and that's what stirs our pot, and it's also good to bring in a guy like you. You've been through a lot of, games. You've been watching the Bears for a while. Take us through what you're seeing, what you feel this year. Are you still hopeful, or are you hopeless at this point? Like, where do you see us after week one? Are you still optimistic? Are you cautiously optimistic? Where are you at, Yogi?
Good question. That's a great question. So I trash talk with a lot of Green Bay fans, particularly. I have a big bone of contention for Green Bay fans that live in Cook County, and they travel around the world, and they say they're from Chicago, but they're Green Bay fans. If you live in Cook County and you're a Green Bay fan, just don't ever talk to me. But we trash talk pretty good, and they always bring up a few things, and they always say Chicago is where quarterbacks and coaches come to die. And I'm hopeful on one statement that hopefully this season will prove that one statement wrong, where we've got a solid coach and a solid quarterback. Let's give them the room they need. Let's support them, just like Kyle and Brian said. Let's give them that early on at home, sort of off your feet, like they make a completion, and we, because we can be hard on our athletes in Chicago, and that just is one of the way it goes. But for me, yeah. I am only focused in on changing the narrative on that one statement, that the Bears are where quarterbacks and coaches come to die. Because it broke my heart when we got rid of Lovey, because I'm like, what else could a man done? 10-3, and but don't get me started on that. But I like to see this coaching quarterback duo destroy that statement. So I have one more thing to say to my trash talking buddies that live in Cook County.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I think that a lot of this we can, if the offensive line has to get better. Olin Kreutz said on record, if you have two right guards, you have no starting right guard. And I fully believe that. We need help from there. I do think Shelton will get better.
Did we freeze up, Brandon?
I think that was probably his worst ever game in the history of ever. I did see the
Ryan,
numbers.
What was your take?
Brandon was still talking. What are you saying?
He's got lag, so he didn't know that. Yeah, he's like behind. He's probably now hearing what I just said like 10 seconds ago. Tevin Jenkins' number was low. It was like 63, for that rating and stuff. And I also think that he spread thin trying to cover his position, the left tackle, Braxton, and the center. So we really didn't get a good look at Tevin. He was like spread way thin. So I think that's why his numbers were down, and he's going to get better too. Remember, he didn't even get a full preseason. You know what I mean? So I think this is going to evolve and get better. I can't remember, Kyle and Brian, but what is the Houston defensive line like? Do you guys remember?
Well, they're certainly much better on the outside than they are the inside. I mean, Yeah, the Houston's defensive line are no scrubs. They have Daniil Hunter on the on one side and Will Anderson on the other.
Oh yeah, they got Daniil Hunter, and then they
Yeah.
drafted Anderson, who I wanted last year. But yeah, you're
And
right.
if nobody knows Daniil Hunter like Chicago Bears fans, man, when he was on Minnesota, he used to gobble the Bears up. He used to eat us alive. But
Yeah.
I will say they still have two good tackles there in the middle, defensive tackles, but they're not as good as they were last year. They rebuilt the whole center of their defensive line, but they will play stunts here and there where they're going to move Daniil Hunter inside, and that's where he gives the Bears a tough time. And you guys know for a fact, the Houston Texans already know that the Bears' weakest link is Nate Davis and Coleman Shelton, and they're going to try to expose that as much as they possibly can. Now, I agree with you, Trex. I think the whole offensive line plays better as a whole this week.
And we're going to see a lot more of that. And they said that Cole Kmet was out on the field a good portion, almost all the game, but he was spending a lot of the time helping blocking, which chip blocks and all that. Say what you got to say, but you also got to have those. And I saw the pro form where you got, two backs in the back to help out too, Caleb, and keep him clean. Give special credit to where credit is due, where we run that heavy package to keep him clean when he step back and pass. But back to it again, you got to have the run set up the pass. The run game has to get better, boys. And if they do, I remember last year again, Olin Kreutz said, run the ball to the left. Bro, it doesn't get any more easier to run the ball to the left if you got Tevin Jenkins over there. That's a no-brainer to me. The right guard, we don't even know what's going on there. Although I will say Matt Pryor, if he is right guard, he has been a serviceable run blocker, better than he is pass. But I'm still with Olin. Run it left. Let's see what happens. What do you say about all that, Brian? What you got?
The Tevin Jenkins. One thing that we didn't bring up was that Rome Odunze fumble. He was there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was 11 yards downfield. He was coming down there to mess somebody up if Rome didn't fumble that. I mean, that dude had a full head of steam. That dude's following he's following the wide receivers. He's going to waylay somebody. Tevin Jenkins played great. Coleman Shelton's got to get better. I mean, I remember that one triple team where that guy came, running a stunt and running right inside, and he didn't even pick him up. I was like, why is he triple teaming somebody? At least, block his gap, stay there. They got that guy hemmed up. I mean, he wasn't going anywhere. I mean, the guy just comes right in, and that's one of Caleb Williams' sacks. He never seen that guy coming. I mean, he come right at him, too. I mean, just run right around and busted him. Coleman Shelton's got to get better. You got to put Ryan Bates in there, get him some reps. I mean, something's got to happen there. Other than that, I think I seen him fall on his face one time. Just stay away from that. I mean,
you also got Kramer Jr. You could sprinkle him in there too. You know what I mean?
They seem to have liked him. I mean, put him on the active roster this year, but
right.
I mean, I don't know how that equates for all these other people, though. I mean, do you have three if you if you don't have one? I mean, right. Is it because they're so bad that they had to make sure that he was there? I mean, I just don't know. That center position's just got to get better. The Nate Davis thing, that guy needs to go on somewhere. Just get rid of him, But,
boys, I do have some good news for you. The worst game that I had at left tackle, my best game came after that. I was so pissed. I couldn't freaking sleep, dude. I could not sleep at all, like that Kanye West song about Wonder. It wasn't a good dream. It was a bad dream, and I could not sleep until next Saturday. And I freaking lit that freaking line up, man. My quarterback was clean. I had the best game of my life, and we're about to see what Shelton and Pryor and all these boys are really made of. And like Kyle said, they're really good on the outside. I think those two names right there on paper sound better than what the Titans had on the outside. You know what I mean? I think it's opposite with the Titans. I think their interior was better than their outside, and now we're looking at the outside, and the inside ain't so hot. So
100%.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't be more right about that.
Jeffrey Simmons on the Titans is an absolute game wrecker, man. That guy, I'll be happy never to see that guy again, man.
Bro, and he talked trash. Like, that's where you want to
beast.
I'm gonna come after you. Talking about my quarterback. You're talking about my team. I gotta protect my guys.
Listen,
and then you gave everything you could, and you just fell on your face and flat out sucked.
I'm not making excuses for Coleman Shelton, but man, that guy is a force to be reckoned with, man. He's probably top 4 defensive tackles in the NFL right now. He absolutely had his way with Coleman Shelton on Sunday. That was brutal to watch.
Simmons, yeah.
Yeah. Shame Tennessee ain't going anywhere. I mean,
He's a beast. He's
No.
a beast.
yeah, they're just not.
No, not when they have to play against freaking Houston. You know what I mean? And
Right.
you still got the Jaguars over there, and
You still got that. What's that guy's name? Will Levis.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I don't think the Colts are going anywhere. What's crazy is the Titans just got rid of a quarterback and they kept Levis out of the deal, you know?
Yeah,
and I'm like,
Tannehill.
Yeah, Tannehill. And now Tannehill's being looked at by the Packers. But whatever.
Any
So
chance Simmons is available at the trade deadline?
what's that?
So any chance Simmons is available at the trade deadline?
Yeah.
We'll trade him for a backup quarterback in a hurry, dude.
Yeah,
You know,
I'll give him a
I like our center. Yeah, we'll throw the center in. There you go.
David Jones, take him.
Yogi. So what's your predictions against Houston in Houston, man? What do you think's going to happen, bro? There's that delay.
Yeah.
You might have
You hear me, Yogi? Oh, can you hear me?
I don't think he can.
I don't think he can hear or see
Not
it.
in real time right now.
Okay. So what's your prediction, Brian? What do you think's going to happen, buddy?
For Houston, God, I've been saying it all off season. I think the Bears start 8-2. Going in.
It's a tough call, and you know what? Probably the last guy you want predictions out of. To me, it really is about evaluating what we didn't do right last week and how we could do better. Matchups are going to change. Formations are going to change, but it's the consistency. Yeah, I can hear you now.
That's crazy.
That's quite a bit.
That's quite a bit, dude. That's a Canada connection, man. Jeez.
that is quite the delay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, hey Yogi.
As I was saying,
Yeah.
I'm probably the last guy you want predictions from, because I'm going to keep it to the vest and just focus in on what we didn't do right this week, and then put it towards, because it is a marathon. It's a season it's a marathon. And so week by week, the teams that actually do well in the playoffs are the ones that don't try to change everything each week. They just pick up a couple of main points that they bring into practice, and they perfect those as best as they can so they don't make those mistakes again. There was a time where we were getting penalties, and then all of a sudden we just kind of ingrained ourselves to just limit the penalties, and that's a big factor too. But it's just too early to tell.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Yogi. Hey, thank you very much for showing up, man. We appreciate you. We'll bring you back on soon, and I'll see you out at the tailgate, man. Bear down, brother.
Yogi.
Take it easy, Yogi. Thanks a lot, brother.
Yeah. Back to mine. I think they start 8-2. Houston and the Rams are the two teams that have beaten them. I'm kind of iffy on that London game. I mean, I don't like that it's a Bears home game. Jaguars play over there all the time. It's a terrible move by the schedule makers. But I don't know if it's going to be that ugly, honestly. That defense is really feeling themselves right now as far as Chicago's defense is. And that special team seems to be on point. I really think they're going to show C.J. Stroud something that he hasn't seen before. I mean, it's just kind of the way that they were. Like last year, everybody knew that Houston wasn't running. I mean, they got Joe Mixon this year. So everybody would, I mean, he was just throwing against freaking quarters defense all year. I mean, it's not the case anymore. And he ain't going to see corners like the Bears have, or DBs like the Bears have all year. I mean, this is a totally different team than, he's seen anywhere in his division. I mean, so I think it's going to be, I still think Houston wins, but I don't think it's going to be a lot. I think Bears still put up 24. Give me 27-24.
Not a bad prediction.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. 27-24.
hmm
The Bears. Did you say the Bears?
Oh, I got Houston winning. I think
You got
Houston.
Houston winning by 3.
Mhm.
Okay. What about you, Kyle?
I actually earlier made a projection earlier, and I picked the Bears to lose 21-24, so not far off from what Brian said by a field goal. You know, right now they're giving the Texans 6.5. I think that's too much. I think that's kind of an insult to the Bears based off of 1 week. But I mean, as far as the game script goes, I think ultimately this game's going to come down to 2 major key factors. It's going to be the Bears offensive line versus the Texans defensive line, and it's going to be the Bears secondary against CJ Stroud. So I think last week Joe Mixon ran for 30 times for 159 yards. First of all, running the ball 30 times in the NFL is not sustainable. He's not going to do that every week, and he's probably not going to do that against the Bears this week. Second of all, he's not going to gain 160 yards on the ground against the Chicago Bears. They're going to commit to shutting down the run. They're going to make CJ Stroud beat them through the air, which he's more than capable of doing. But I don't know if you guys have been watching or not. Jalen Johnson has pretty much become impossible to throw the ball against. He allowed 1 catch last week for -2 yards. He had an interception, a pass defended. He's just absolutely the best lockdown corner in the NFL now. So it's time for Tyreek Stevenson and Kyler Gordon to step up. I think the Bears can find success through the air because if you look at last week's game between the Colts and the Texans, Anthony Richardson only completed 9 passes, but he did it for 212 yards. I mean, that's 24 yards a completion. That's insane. Those are Madden numbers. Those are college numbers. I mean, if Caleb Williams is going to pick a game to get right, this is the game.
Yeah, deep balls open.
Yeah, the problem is ultimately I think the Texans are just a year ahead of the Bears, and I think they're just ultimately too much for the Bears, especially when you're going into their house Sunday night primetime and their home opener. You know, that's just a tall task. I do think the Bears offense will look a lot better in this game, much better than they did last week, and I think the Bears defense will continue to play very well. I just think the Houston Texans are a little bit too much for the Chicago Bears right now, and they have a very good coach in DeMeco Ryan. I think ultimately the Bears end up coming out of this first 10-game stretch. I would hope to be 7-3, but I'd be happy if they come out 6-4 because I think Caleb Williams is only going to get better every week. So as long as you keep yourself in the playoff hunt, you're towards the end of the season. I think the Bears will be beaten up on teams like Minnesota pretty handily.
Yeah, and it is a big change of gears. It's a big shift for Houston too, and a big shift for the Bears because that offense with Houston has explosive. And they have some good points of their defense. And I believe, the Titans do too. So that, there's a little bit of both, going on with that. And but I think it goes more towards if you're going to sway it one way or another, I would give it more towards Houston, especially with their coach and all of that. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because just as much as they had to play a team that was down, like Brian was talking about, they had to play a team that was down, and you were talking about those splash plays, nine passes for over 200 yards, 24 yards a pass, and all that kind of stuff. That's not going to happen against the Bears at all. Not when.
No, and you know what? There's things in this game that are very good for the Bears. For instance, the Bears were one of the top 3 teams in the NFL last week at applying pressure on the quarterback, and the Texans were one of the bottom 3 teams at allowing pressure on the quarterback. So that works out well for the Bears. I think Darrell Taylor is going to be a huge player for the Bears this year. He's going to be in the backfield all season. Walker looked better last week. Dexter looked better than he did last week. Montez Sweat had his worst game he's had probably as professional. That's going to change. We all know that. And then if you go look at the Texans, like you just talked about, Trex, all those yards they gave up on 9 completions, they're obviously susceptible to the big play, right? You have DJ Moore, you have Keenan Allen, and besides Derek Stingley Jr., their secondary is pretty much garbage. And I know a lot of people like to say, oh, Jalen Pitre is one of the best safeties in the NFL. He's really not, guys. He had 5 interceptions in 2022, his rookie season. 2 of them were against the Bears, if you guys remember, until Roquan Smith picked off that pass and the Carlos Santos ultimately scored a field goal to win that game. But for the most part, Jalen Pitre has not been good in the NFL. He had a Pro Football Focus rating of 61.6 last year. That's not good. And the Bears should be able to take advantage of that secondary. The problem is, can the Bears slow the Texans down enough so that if the Bears can keep this team under 21 points, they can win this game. But that's
and I think that they've relied so much on their offense. I think Houston has relied so much on their offense that you haven't really been able to see the weaknesses of their defense. And quite honestly, if you look at who they had to play in order to get in the playoffs, it's pretty much obvious why they got as far as they did. You take that team Houston, you put them in there with the Bengals, you put them in there with their division, with the Ravens. They don't make it. I'm sorry, they don't make it. So it's not an apples to apples comparison when you're in the AFC South versus being in the NFC North. They're about ready to see what the big boy league is all about. So don't take it. And I like Brian. It's a modest score, and I still believe that it's fair to say that they are going to lose. But he also made a good point, and it showed with his prediction that there is a chance for the Bears to pull this out, and not by losing by a whole bunch, but actually a respectable loss if there ever is freaking one. They're not going to get blown out is what I gather from that.
I agree with Brian. I agree with you, Trex. I got the Texans favored, but I got them winning by 3. I'll say this, guys. I think that's 7. It started off at 7. The line was 7, and I think that's disrespectful to the Chicago Bears, especially with the defense that they put out on the field. And you know what? Like Yogi was talking about, their coaches, the head coaches Matt Eberflus did make adjustments at halftime last week. I mean, they were in the first half, they were allowing Tony Pollard 16 yards of carry. By the end of the game, he was averaging 5. So, I mean, the work they had to put in the second half to bring that average all the way down to 5 is they changed their game plan. They decided they were going to stop the run and make Will Levis beat them, right?
You're right. Yeah, Will Levis is even in college, he wasn't the guy to play from behind. As soon as he got, I mean, I know Will Levis all too well, being in Kentucky and all of that stuff. But he's not a guy that you want playing from behind. He gets careless. He was attempting to throw that ball away, but he tries to do too much. He always has, always will. I mean, it's just that guy. But I kind of agree with they're not going to get blown out. I mean, I always agree to that, but they're not going to get blown out as far as Houston goes. Houston, you don't fear them. They're not in the same breath, like you said, like you were saying, Trax. They're not in the same breath as Kansas City. They're not Baltimore. They're not the 49ers or Philly. You don't look at that and say that's a for sure loss. I mean, you look at that and say, you know what, they should beat us, but we can have a chance. You don't fear that game. You still have a little excitement going in. You're like, you know what, I can miss this one. This is going to be ugly. I'm going to take my lumps with the team or something like that. You don't have that feeling. You could definitely win. A couple balls go the right way. It's possible. The home opener is a little rough, being the home opener for somebody. But other than that, I still think they're going to win, but not by much. But we have a chance.
Let's go ahead and shift gears to some pictures that I was able to take with my press conference, field pass, locker room pass, all that. I tried to get the audio on here of the. Have you guys been able to hear those? The interview I had with Roma Dunze, the interview I had with Braxton Jones.
I've watched some of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool. And then the Caleb press, that was fun. And question I asked him about the shoes and all that. That was funny. So just breaking the ice because everybody's got, all the serious questions, first game, at home and all that. And I was just, me, just keeping it light and having fun. So, and he won't forget that, exchange at all. Here's I didn't take this picture. Somebody else did. I do believe that's Yogi's picture. That's a solid picture with Bearman and Darnell Wolford, Bears top 100. There's Yogi there again. He wanted us to share, these pictures. Now, these are my pictures. This is Donnell and V103. Gosh, man, his name escaped. Hilarious guy. He's just like a broke version of Cedric the Entertainer. And I could say that to his face because he dissed me. So, but it was fun. I loved it. It was great. Here's a picture of Doug Plank. This is actually a picture that I took on the field of Doug, and he posted it on his Facebook, and he had no idea that I took it or sent it to him because he got so busy in the day that he just liked the picture and he posted it on his Facebook. So I thought that was really special, that a picture that I took of all the media there of him, and I sent it to his personal phone, He actually posted that on his Facebook account. So to me, I might frame that freaking thing, man. This is Bruce Heron, BJ's father to the right, former Bear linebacker, and Peanut doing his FBI, like, slide backwards. I don't want to be in the picture, but and then you got Doug there again. Just sideline picture, Booker just kind of hanging out, ready to get in there. Couple big time players. I like that he wore that brown because it's almost like a gold jacket. So if you don't look too hard, you might think he's a gold jacket guy. I thought that was pretty cool. More pictures of guys and whatnot. There's Shelton before the game and the tragic things that he did afterwards, and Davis there prior there. You know how to take some pictures of the offensive lineman, right, boys? Right, I was salivating. Yeah, Dent, Richard Dent, Otis Wilson, and Brian McCaskey, our boy. So excited about seeing guys like that who's been on the show. J-Mac Jenkins with his family, always with his family, man. Got the baby over there, got the wife. I mean, seriously, dude, it's a breath of fresh air to see a man like that. Even over by the locker room, I mean, any chance he got, he embraced that. That's super cool. The message for all of us. The man over here, cooking. Pole's always cooking. I like this. This is really cool. Mongo had the bust there, man.
Oh,
That's
awesome. Yeah.
That's good, right? And his ring right here from K Jewelers. Shout out to K Jewelers. Let's get a sponsorship, K. And then the jacket and the picture and stuff. They had all that present. The big powers that be, bro. So right here you got Brian. You guys know that's Kevin. And then in the middle is Bruce's wife, former judge, good lady. That was the event with Wolford, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I was up there. Danelle was a part of that. It was really cool. They gave away a 50-inch TV, consoles, Bear tickets, gift cards. My buddy got one. Hold on. I got to go off on a rant. My buddy won a non-football question. What you did is you have to write down your name, all that information. You have to write down something that you think that Wolford would like. And I don't think that he actually, I'll have to ask him because this is driving me nuts now just thinking about it, that he would like the question to pick it out of all the other questions. And then it's called Beer with a Bear. So they all sat around and drank a beer. And my buddy didn't even drink it, the guy that won. He didn't even drink the Moore's beer. But he won the question by what would you have done if you didn't play football? Nothing says I don't know anything about you, Mr. Wolford, right, or the fact that you played defensive back for the Bears and the Steelers and how great you were. But he did answer the question. He said, I would have golfed because you can play golf forever and don't have to worry about getting hurt, Yeah. So anyways, that was cool. I'm happy for my buddy, kind of, sort of, a little butthurt. And then there's Yogi. There's Yogi and Wolford there. Did I just do? Yeah, I just did this like twice. Here's a picture. That's the actual picture. That's the actual picture there that he did. And then there's, Shane Taub. We all know him, the guy that's all over Windy City, man. He posts all the pictures and stuff. He actually posted that because he said he's never had media post a picture of him taking a picture. So he thought that was really cool. There's our boy. There's our boy, the man of the hour, Mr. Taylor, bro. Let me see. Oh, this is just a picture itself of his jacket, Mongo's jacket. There's a picture that I took before I posted on Twitter. I was constantly updating Twitter on the scores and whatnot. And then there's picture, in the locker room of Stevenson. Picture of Caleb at the press conference. more picture. And then two greats there, you know.
Who's
Johnny
with him?
Knox.
Oh, it's Johnny Knox. I was going to say. Who's that?
Johnny Knox and Forte. And then that same picture, or it was a different angle, better angle. And then this dude was constantly, see that guy back there, the tall white guy with the glasses and the blue shirt.
Mhm.
He was mean mugging me the whole time.
He's locked in on you right there.
Dude, they all were. They were like, okay, because I had a Bears shirt or a Bears polo, and I had a Bears hat. No media was like bared out, like, and I wasn't like Jersey, right? Like, because then that would have totally been like super fan. Like, I thought I was dressed, and then I had nice pants on and nice, you know, shoes and stuff. Wasn't like sneakers or nothing. I was casual dress, you know. But yeah, nobody was wearing any of that Bear gear. So next time, hat with no logo on it, polo shirt with no Bear on it, and a bigger lens.
Yeah, he's treating you like you're about to rip our clothes off and go streaking.
Yeah, he was sighting down on me, bro.
He's like, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get
He
him.
was sighting down on me. Well, and he was. I think a lot of them were nervous about how close the players were getting to me, and I was getting to them, because you've seen a lot of guys that have been on our show, and that's not normal behavior for just photographer dudes. They normally don't talk or any sort of conversation. So there was this closeness that was probably like, what do we do? What do we do? You know? So I was breaking a lot. You guys know me. I break a lot of rules and stuff. Like, I just don't, you know, I'm just different. So, but that's how we got there, right, boys? So it was pretty cool. Yeah, I wish I could play the audio with you. So the question I asked Braxton Jones, I just asked him, what was it like playing? Like, did you get some like built-in, like, you know, like good vibes and confidence playing against the Bears, knowing that their defense is probably one of the best, top five, possibly the top five in the NFL, and then you go play, you know, guys like the Titans, where you're just, you know, ready to rip. You know, I asked that to Rome, to a Dunze, and then basically the same thing with, you know, Braxton, but the fact that him and Jenkins are like mountain of men, like there is no light on that side of the field. Like, it's complete like pitch black darkness. Like, they're big guys, dude. Like, I'm looking up at Braxton and I have my phone like this recording, and I'm like this, dude. And normally I'm not like that. Everywhere I go, I'm the big guy. I was a small guy by Braxton, and Tevin is just equally as big. They're both big dudes. So it's cool that blind side of Caleb, you know. And I also asked him about, you know, being on that side with, you know, for Caleb, you know, and what it's like to play with him. And he just talked about how exciting it was and all this and that, and it was pretty cool. Same thing with Rome. Rome was really nice, very kind, sweetheart guy, and just really willing to talk to whoever and take time and whatnot. I mean, you know, not like a big type, big shot for top 10 pick, you know, and all that kind of stuff, Kyle. But really good guys in the locker room, man, and nobody made you feel like you shouldn't have been there, and everybody felt like, you know, like, hey, man, come ask questions and whatnot. I will say this: when you guys get the opportunity to interview Sweat, just know that he's not really big on interviews, because and there's people like that, you know what I mean? They're introvert, don't really want to get in the mic. They'd rather be out on the field, you know, speaking with, you know, and I get it. It makes sense. So, I spent most of the day lost. I felt like a freshman in high school, you know, with a kick me sign on the back. Like, I did, you know, so everybody kept trying to tell me that I belong there, and everything that I did proved otherwise. Like, you know, but I did notice one thing. They don't want us to feed our face and binge eat, because the food was like bland. Like, the chicken wasn't very like there was no salt and pepper or any type of flavor to it. Same thing with the pork. we're never going to get sponsored by these people that have the food there at all, ever. They had like greens and stuff and like some salad that wasn't salad. I think it was like corn, like nuts or something from a tree, and it was very grainy and gross. They had soda there, but basically they're like, okay, we'll feed you healthy stuff because we don't want you to get big, and then also make sure your butt gets back there to do the press box, because that's what you're here for, to cover. Because could you imagine like if they had like cheeseburgers and fries and all the cool shit and like beer and stuff, they'd be like on Monday, they'd be like, how come there's like just dead silence the whole time during the Bears game? Like nobody was covering anything, you know what I mean? So, and it was crazy. Like everybody like below us, Kyle, all like the fans that were in like the stadium, they were like hitting underneath and the top and the glass and stuff. And the crowd was very loud. And it was just like everybody there inside the press box was numb to it. They're like, this happens all the time, and I was just like, wow, this is crazy,
That was a loud game. It was a very loud game, man.
Yeah, because you were on the outside of it. I felt like I had like this protection of glass around me. You know what I'm saying?
Man, when Tyreek Stevenson caught that pick and started running that back to the end zone, I've never heard Soldier Field that loud in my life, dude. It was shaking. It was
really
shaking.
Yeah. Top decibels, huh? Top decibels.
It was really disappointing. I mean, Trex, I'm sure you heard it because you were there when they were booing the Bears. I'm like, guys, and I understand that they were booing the play calling, probably Shane Waldron or maybe even Matt Eberflus. But first of all, Caleb Williams doesn't know that. Second of all, it's this guy's first game in the NFL, first game in a Bears uniform. If you guys are real Bears fans, instead of booing him when he's walking off the field, how about next time he comes on the field, we all chant his name, Caleb Williams? That would have been absolutely remarkable. I bet you would have played better if we did that shit.
Yeah, and you're right, man. And it's been a rough go for any quarterback, So, but yeah, that's the right mindset. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Kyle. You do too, Brian.
Yeah, it's still them people that can't let go of Fields. That's who that is. I mean, everybody else is going to give this guy a chance, but it's them Fields fans, and unfortunately, they were few, but they're loud.
Oh, Brian, you've been to Bears. I mean, I've seen the Bears fans boo before, but not the first game of the season in a rookie quarterback's first game ever. Like, dude, give him a chance. Jesus, it's his first start in the NFL.
I mean,
I think.
Yeah,
guys, I think there's a really good point right here that Kid makes, but I don't think he's hearing us clearly because we're speaking about both, because two things can be true at the same time. And we're talking about winning and growth. And I think that's what it comes down to, is like, even when you said 27-24, I didn't jump out of my chair and be like, we need to win. Being close and not losing by a lot, that's growth in of itself. And there's games on our schedule. So maybe he's distracted and he wasn't paying attention. But yeah, I mean we're not really all about wins here, boys. But two things can be true at the same time.
A lot of people say there's no such thing. I do think there is a purpose for moral victories. I'm not saying there's any 1-0 is 1-0 and 1-1 is 1-1 and 2-0 is 2-0. But
right,
I think we're all moral victories, man. If you go out there and you put up a game against the Texans, who are the best team in that division, they're most certainly a playoff team, and you keep it close, and your offense looks better, and you're improving from where you were last week, then after the Texans, you get a bunch of tomato cans, and then you can really start honing in on your skill set and winning the game. The defense is going to keep the Bears in every single game this season.
Yes.
There's not going to be a game like the Chiefs last year before we got Montez Sweat, where they were, what did the Chiefs beat us last year? 41-3 or 41-10 or something like that.
Well, and Kyle, even though our defense was as good as it was, we all can sit here and agree that basically the running back for the Titans, he was the show for 3 quarters.
Yeah, until the Bears adjusted, yeah.
But at the same point in time, that was nearly almost all their offense, right, boys? So to keep all their offense in front of us and not let it go sideways, that is what you said earlier, a moral victory. But we've got to do better at stopping the run, which is crazy because we didn't let them go for 200-300 yards rushing. That's how That's how greedy we are right now.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
our expectations. That's our standard, especially as a Chicago Bears fan, because it's always been these hard-nosed defenses where you can't run on the Bears. And I think
Yeah.
the Bears, they're starting to turn into that team once again, man. I think that Matt Eberflus has that defense motivated. They certainly bought into the hits principle. The Bears were crushing people on the field, man. They were the defense had a lot more energy than the offense did, man. Those guys were loving every second of it. I don't know if you guys heard it or not, but Jalen Johnson had a mic on him. I don't know exactly who the microphone was for. I don't know if it was ESPN or just a Bears fan, a Bears media page, but man, he was talking a lot of smack. A lot. He was loving every. He said, "Quit throwing to this side of the field, guys. You ain't going anywhere. Quit throwing to this side of the field. You ain't going anywhere." Jalen Johnson.
And I think the best thing that could have happened was they shorted him. Like every time they could have made him like a top defensive back in the league, he got left. And I think that is cool because he's going to play with a chip on his shoulder, even though he got like one of the best defensive back contracts like ever.
Yeah.
And sometimes you wonder if he's going to buy a yacht or take off in a personal jet and kind of get sideways away from football. He's still locked in, boys. He's ready to play, man. He wants to be
he's playing angry.
You guys,
like I was talking about earlier. Dude's just playing angry.
Listen
That
to
one
this.
play that he had, sorry, Kyle. One play that he had where he shit his own blocker and whatever and went and tackled Tony Pollard 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, that was the loudest I got during that whole game. Like, dude, say Jalen Johnson's on a tear, man.
Yeah, I mean, how the not making the top 100 list last year was absolutely absurd, guys. I mean, I think he ended up allowing a total of 156 yards of offense last year. You know what he allowed on Sunday? You want to hear Jalen Johnson's stat line on Sunday? I mean, you talk about the best $76 million ever spent in Bears history. He had 3 tackles on Sunday, 2 tackles for loss, an interception, and he allowed 1 catch all game for a whopping -2 yards.
-2. I remember that.
It's impossible to throw against Jalen Johnson. He's the best coverage corner in the NFL. He really is. He's a stud. He should have been on the top. He should have been on the number 15 on the top 100 list is where he should have been.
And don't pick on our other defensive backs either, boys, because they're looking really good. And I'm really glad at the new safety that we picked up in Bayard, man. I think he's really, well, what's the word I'm looking for? Like compatible or comparable or, like works really good with the other safety. And that's kind of what we've been missing. Like, with Eddie, it was up and down and just down. Now it's not just one guy just totally, working the whole time. Like he's got help and allowing both sides to do what they need to do, Whereas if you've got one side of the field, Kyle, you can pick apart the other side every time. Like I'm not going to that side, I'm going to this side. And then they switch, whatever. And right now, I don't think they can do that deep, Kyle.
I mean, Kevin Byard's already got a C on his chest. He's one of the most notoriously one of the best leaders in all the NFL. All the Bears already love him. He's already a captain. If you try to shy away from Jalen Johnson and try to pick on Tyreek Stevenson or Kyler Gordon, the results aren't going to be much better, guys. I mean, Tyreek Stevenson is becoming one of the best ball hawks in all of football. I mean, all he does is take the ball away. That's all he does.
So
and I think that's going to continue into the future. I think he's going to end up being one of the best corners in the NFL. Can you guys imagine when all 5 of these guys, Jaquan Brisker, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, Jalen Johnson, Kevin Byard, are all in their peaks, in their primes? Because I still think Jaquan Brisker, Kyler Gordon, and Tyreek Stevenson are all still getting better week after week, man. When they're all firing on all cylinders, this is the best secondary in football. To me, no doubt. I don't even think it's close.
It's not close in my opinion.
And hopefully our offense gets up to the level that we think they can get to where the defense can kind of like semi-cruise. I mean, still play at a high level, but the pressure's off because we're scoring a lot of points and they don't have to play as hard. Even that punter, that takes a lot of pressure off the defense, right, boys? So they can allow a lot more line changes and all this and that. You don't have to bring the heavy boys in because they're backed up against, all that kind of stuff can happen, man. It's good, man. I like how the team is well-rounded and it was built exclusively for Caleb to come in and be a rookie and not have to put the freaking cape on every time.
Yep.
This is it's cool, man. I like it. I'm happy.
And do you guys not both agree that last year the Bears lose that game down 17-0? That game's over, right?
Totally.
Yeah, unless they were throwing at Jalen Johnson. I mean, that game was over.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah.
what I want to know
Go ahead.
really quickly is why the hell Valus is still on our damn team.
I don't know, guys. I think he's got pictures of Ryan Poles doing some nasty shit or something. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. He's got
Yeah.
pictures and Diddy. Yeah. But wow. I still want to show a little appreciation for Ryan Poles that he's not Jerry Jones. Because for him to let his two best players hold out all year, all off season, not practice, and still give them exactly what they want right before week one. God, that dude got taken to the rails, man. Poor guy. But yeah, Felix Jones, I don't know what's going on there. Like you said, he's got to have some dirt on somebody. And for them on the Hard Knocks to just say, "Oh, there's one guy that I'll go to bat for, and it's Valus." It's Valus. It's like, why? I mean, even when they put him in at running back, he wasn't different. I'd rather still give the ball to Herbert. I mean, he's not better than Herbert. He's not better than Roshan.
Well, and Roshan was a healthy scratch so that Velus Jones and Travis Homer could play. That's, to me, that's absolutely asinine. If that needs to change. First of all, Roshan Johnson's their best pass blocker, so he's the guy you want standing next to Caleb Williams most often. Second of all, he got what 40 carries last year for the Bears to determine if they like him or not. I mean, he needs to be on the field, man. He was a fourth round pick last year. You're giving up on him already. It's time for Roshan Johnson to get back on this team. And Velus Jones needs to be cut. He should be cut.
He really does.
And to your point, Brian, Ryan Poles, I mean, what an absolute amazing move to get Darrell Taylor here and switch him from linebacker to defensive end. I mean, that guy was all over the tracks. You were at the game. Was there ever a point where Darrell Taylor or DeMarcus Walker weren't in the backfield bothering Will Levis? It was every play. It was every single play. It was every single play.
Came out
and the majority of the guys, you could hear them whispering and stuff, and they were really impressed with the way Dexter was winning the push. They were just like, man, Dexter looks good. He's opening up the outside for the other guys, and he's just making it, easier, against Cushberry and all those guys that are, so good on the offensive line for the Titans, because they spent a lot of money in draft capital and stuff for the Titans to get better in the, it almost looked like they were trying to protect a real quarterback that they don't have. I don't know that Joe Alt, Peter Skoronski, and Lloyd Cushenberry, Latham. Cushenberry and Skoronski. That's a scary offensive line. That offensive line is going to end up being really good soon. They're all still young, but they'll get there, man. Let's pay some bills really quick. Bridges Scoreboard, Northwest Indiana headquarters with a Hall of Fame menu and the coldest beer in Chicagoland. I'll be up there Sunday from 6 o'clock to about 6:45. I'm going to do a pregame show for our Bears down there in Houston. So yeah, it's going to be a good one. Come check us out, man. TC's World of Wonders, where we get all our jerseys and all that stuff. Check out Tom at tcworldsofwonders.com. They got a lot of good stuff. River Street Tavern, want Chicago's most delicious and fun sports dining experience, head over to the River and check them out. They've got all kinds of good stuff. They got the game going on. Chicago Sports Podcast, Monsters of the Madhouse. We're here basically almost every day of the week, so check us out. Serendipity Ice Cream Parlor, where it's always summertime at Serendipity. It's been summer lately, man. We got that warm back up in here, and I'm glad, because it was cold for a little bit. Blackhawks legend Chris Chelios, El Bandito Yankee, is a tequila experience like no other. A handcrafted, fully mature, smooth Blue Weber agave with zero additives. Get your El Bandito Yankee at elbanditoyankee.com. Underdog Fantasy. Get 5 picks right. Mega bank your money 20 times. They're going to give your first $1,000. They're going to match that. And then your first $2,000, they're going to do 50%. So it's really cool how they have the multipliers, and you could throw like as little as $10 down and win like $800 if you have like an 8-legger or something, which I always like to do. But freaking Caleb messed that up, and so did Marvin Harrison Jr. And they didn't have a whole lot to do, and they did a whole lot less than a lot to do, or a whole lot less than a little to do. They did diddly squat for fantasy as far as that goes. Yeah, I think that's pretty much. Oh, Worst Stadium Club. Shout out to Worst Stadium Club for hosting Doug Plank. They got good burgers up there, good food, good people, great atmosphere. Check them out. They got a special mixer. I mean, they just got all kinds of drinks, man. They got some good drinks, but please drink responsibly and play them games responsibly too. Also October 1st, we're going to be interviewing Keenan Allen up at Elite Icons. We're going to be checking up Keenan Allen up there. That's going to be a good time. We'll have more info as it gets closer. But Keenan Allen, he really didn't cut loose. We really didn't get to see much of him, but we will. It's going to be a long season, and he's going to do really good. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for all the sponsors, man. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and and then go check out our boys, Kyle, Sean, and Brandon and Dustin up at 4 Stars Sports. Go check them out on Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe, hit that like button. They're on Mondays and Wednesdays, and kind of just building out their schedule and just kind of seeing where it goes and adding, time when they can. And they do like betting. They do some betting stuff, some betting odds. They do some fantasy. They do some Bears talk. They do some NFL talk. They got a lot going on. Check them out. They're good dudes. Kyle's down there. He's one of them right there with us. They all started with us, and they're kind of doing their own thing on the side too, which I totally respect. I love entrepreneurship, man. So go check them out.
Thanks for getting us into it, Trax. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. I planted the seed, but you guys are cultivating at a high level, man. I seen your numbers going up, and like I said, don't worry about the numbers. Get those relationships in. Don't worry about numbers. Don't worry about any of that stuff. Get the relationships in. Build it up. Build it. Cultivate it. All the fakers that are looking at those numbers, they'll fall to the wayside. Just focus and make all those relationships and connections count, because that's what got us here. I really feel like even when you don't feel a part, you got your little camera and you got guys mean mugging you, security guys. You never get kicked out. You never get kicked out, and you keep building the brand, and everybody starts to see what makes it. Yogi said, genuine.
Trax, you got to get CSP shirts, man.
I got them coming. What's the date? It's like around the 17th. I got polo shirts that are coming. So I had to wear
that. You can wear that on the sideline, right? CSP.
Well, yeah, and I will, but it takes a while for the embroidery and all that to come through, because I got like the Nike Wickaway, really nice elite polo shirts, and then they got to do the embroidered. So I got one for me, one for Jim Miller, I got one for Tony, and I got one for Jake, for because we were all at the what do you call it? At the Canton, Ohio.
Oh, nice.
and Wabash, yeah. So they'll be steadily able to help out and stuff and things like that. But Jim Miller and I mostly at the casino, So
Brian, you gotta get up here one of these games, man.
Oh, I love to. Yeah, I can see that in my near future. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, man. You got to see Caleb in his first year, right? You got to see him at least once, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to that the road game in Indianapolis, so I'm going to that one. But I want to see him in Chicago. I've been in Chicago in 2-3 years now, so I need to get back. It's going to be a good time.
Is that September 22nd or 29th?
Yeah, September 2nd. Yeah.
So that'll be cool.
Sooner or later, hopefully Soldier Field is no longer the Bears' home, man, and you got to get there before that happens. Man.
Oh, I know. Waiting for Arlington Heights to open up is going to be too far along, man. That's another 3 years away, right? It's inevitable. It's going to happen. I'm breaking it here first, right? Arlington Heights. That's where it's going to be. It's a pretty.
What's this? Right? What's this? B-Dubs talking about? Sit one, Mason, Mixon, and Williams.
Oh, fantasy.
Yeah, he's saying I have to sit one of these 3 guys. So who do I sit? Mason, Mixon, or Williams? I assume that's what he's asking. I would say Joe Mixon probably, man. If you're talking about Kyron Williams, I think Jordan Mason's going to have a really good game, and I think Kyron Williams is going to have a really good game. Mixon, it's going to be tough sledding for Mixon against the Bears, man. Unless he gets a bunch of receptions out of the backfield.
Let me see who I got. Maybe we can pull that up, and Kyle can help me out, because I took a L week 1. I only scored 78 points, man.
Is it
Let me look
PPR?
yeah. And then I got the flex. So I got Hertz, ETN, Walker the third from Seattle. He's questionable. He's still supposed to get 15.5 points. Chase, Smith, Jay Smith, JSN, I mean, from Seattle. I got 2 Seattle guys. Bowers, tight end. Jay Williams, Denver. He was solid last week. Jets defense screwed me. Zurline for the Jets. Now, who I have on the bench, I got Chubbs. He's out. Douglas, New England wide receiver. R. Dowdle, Dallas running back.
Rico Dowell.
Rico.
Yeah. Okay. Austin Eckler, Washington. T. Higgins, questionable, Cincinnati. I got 2 Cincinnati receivers. I didn't even look at that when I was drafting. It's ridiculous. I'm like, oh, he's a great receiver. So is he. Damn it, they're both on the same team.
I don't need them this week.
Burnett won a championship with both T. Higgins and Jamar Chase on his team.
Really?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe that's an omen, but it better start now because I'm 0-1. Jay Hyatt for the Giants. I just picked him because he's got the same last name as mine. What the hell? And then Bo Nix on the bench. So
Yeah, your best players are in your lineup right now, unless T. Higgins comes back. But I don't know whether isn't Kenneth Walker hurt though?
Kenneth Walker.
He had a
Yeah,
big
He's questionable.
Yeah, I think he's hurt.
Sunday at noon. So I'll keep an eye on that. Thanks for letting me know.
If he's out, you have to put a running back in. If he's not a flex, Austin Eckler would be of all your options. I think is Austin Eckler the only running back on your bench?
No, I have R. Dowdle.
No, Rico Dowell. I didn't really watch the Cowboys game. Was Emmitt Smith? Was Ezekiel Elliott the starter? Who was the starter?
I don't know, but I heard that they were potentially going to go and give Dowdle like he was a cowbell, like he was going to get the line.
He should. I mean, he's better than Ezekiel Elliott at this point in his career. Rico Dowell was good last year.
Gerald, I love how you keep us updated with the score, but could you please stop? It's just getting worse with the Cubs score. I'm like, every time I see the update, I'm like, no.
You should put under Cheryl Childers, you should put bearer of bad news.
Yeah.
That should be her. That's her job.
Well, for a while,
CSP.
she's been able to share some good news with us, right, boys? The Cubs have been doing pretty, but the freaking Braves, man, we got to lock them up and duct tape them or something. They just can't stop winning.
It's just too little, too late, man. I think they'd have to go I don't know how many games are left, but I think the Cubs would have to go 14-2 to have a real chance at the playoffs, and that's just not going to happen. I mean,
I just wanted them to see them go 81-81 for this year's growth, whatever. That's what I wanted, and it's possible or get close to. I'm glad they're not sub 70. It's good.
Their future is bright. They're just missing a couple of pieces. Unfortunately, the Ricketts are going to have to spend money, whether they want to or not. It's if they need another power bat in their lineup, they need one, and it's not Cody Bellinger. He's not the guy. So you're going to have to.
Well, I'm glad they didn't spend money on Jim Miller because another man's junk is another man's treasure. Let's go. No, man.
But they should have kept Kyle Schwarber. That's what they should have done. And gotten
Dude
40 bombs on another left fielder would have been real nice.
Bro, they should have kept Schwarber and what do you call it? Rizzo, man.
Yeah.
I get the other ones. I get Bryant because he was often injured, lower back, all that kind of stuff, right, boys?
Well,
and I love Bryant, but
Bryant was never the same after that pitch to the face, dude. After that pitch to the face, he was he has not been the same guy since he got hit in the face.
And Baez, there was problems coming with his back and stuff, the way he just cuts way too deep, and
he swings at airplanes and night crawlers, dude. He's awful, dude. He goes golfing, man. Baez, he is not a good hitter. He is not.
I see you got a couple white footballs in the back there now, bro. Are those signed or anything?
Yeah, they're both signed. This one was years ago, training camp. It was back when I was still at Bourbon A. It's got Allen Robinson, and one dude. Who's that? Bellamy. He's I think he's still in jail.
Josh Bellamy.
Yeah, I got that one there, Anthony Miller. A bunch
Bro.
of guys are no longer on the team.
Dude, you got Bellamy to sign your ball. I think the value of the ball went down.
I know, right? Yeah, I lobbied for it too.
Or it went up. Or it went up. You never know.
And this one's just got Walker. This is from last year. Walker, Trenton Gill, and Cairo.
Yeah,
That's
Brian, every time you get a signature, they're gone.
right. Right.
Don't get, don't get Roma
He
Dunze.
got cut from another team since he's left.
Don't get Roma Dunze's signature or Caleb Williams.
Right.
I'm running out of room on this one, man. I got all the guys that have been on our podcast or did an event for. It's just it's crazy, man.
That's
Running
awesome.
out.
I
need to
Doug's
get-
like that.
Did you?
I saw that picture, that signature there.
Yeah,
Doug Plank is so awesome, man. I love
Dude, he's great.
his goofy personality is the best.
Yeah, I could listen to him for hours. Now, Lance's signature, I like Hampton's and some of the 85 guys. They sign really big and nice, and but where is? Oh, there it is. That's why Lance is right underneath the C. It is so tiny. It is like, hey, I'm not complaining, dude. I was fortunate to get that one, but yeah, he was busy. He was moving a shaker, trying to get out of there. And then as soon as I asked him, here comes everybody else with their stuff, and he's just like, "Oh hell, I knew it was gonna happen." He didn't say that, but that's kind of what the vibe. So, you guys got any closing comments besides we ran a half hour later than we wanted?
No, man. I mean, obviously, we're probably not going to talk to. I'm not going to talk to our fans here until the game. But go Bears, man! Bear down. We really appreciate everybody's support. We appreciate everybody watching. It's awesome to be part of these podcasts. Thanks, Trax, again for having me on. As always, I appreciate it, man. It's always a blast, Brian. It's always fun talking to you, man. We don't do it enough.
Oh no.
But
Kyle, did you give us a projection, Kyle?
yeah, Bears 21, Texans 24.
Oh, so the Texans are going to win for you too by a field goal.
Yeah, just by a field goal, man.
Okay, well, I'm going to flip the field like our punter. I'm going to go 24-21 Bears. How about it?
I love it, man. I hope you're the one that's right.
Yeah, Trax. I don't like to be wrong, but I hate to be wrong, but I would love to be wrong this time, man. I hope to God the Bears. If the Bears get out of there with a win, it's a totally different conversation, guys. We're talking about which seat in the playoffs are the Bears going to take. That's the conversation we're going to start having because the Texans.
Well, on the opposite end of a seat is a head, and I don't want your wives to take my head for keeping you up all night. It's time for you guys to slide in bed with them and out of bed with me. So let's go.
I got about an hour with her today, so
I got a really early morning tomorrow, man. Really early morning. Out of the norm for me. Usually I can sleep in a little bit because I usually get out of work at 4:00 in the morning. But
wow,
long day tomorrow.
Yeah. All right, boys. Have a good night. Chi-town up and bear down, guys.
Yeah, bear down, guys. Appreciate all you guys, man.